Order. Please rise. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Vaughn.
Here.
Kurtz.
Here.
Hayward.
Here.
Hill.
Yes.
Scharf.
Here.
O'Laughlin.
Here.
Hannah.
Yes. Motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second. Scharf and Laughlin. Okay, all those in favor signify saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, accept and approve the consent agenda, which is,
Do we have anybody in public?
public comment. Okay, we have two people that would like to speak. Ray, would you like to come up? Please give us your name and address.
My address is Ray Kirby, 800 9th Avenue Northeast. I've been flooded 3 times because of 8th Street. The water come down there so hard, and that floods me basement. I spoke to the city manager about it once before, never had a return. No one's ever spoke back. Now I need to have something done about it. And that's all I got to say. Otherwise, I'll go elsewhere.
Okay. Okay, and Joyce?
My name is Joyce Weber, and I live at 807 Center Avenue Northeast here in town. And I'm here because today, Mr. Crawford, one of the county engineers, he was out measuring the street sections, and I didn't quite understand what he meant, but is that to do with will that involve the creamery? What's he doing with the street drains, or why was he, I asked him who I could talk to, but he said he couldn't divulge that information. It was private. So is that got anything to do with a runoff from the creamery?
I think probably what he's working on is the stormwater study, trying to determine where the water's coming from and how it can be possibly redirected.
Okay, because I've lived down there for forever, and I know that the water starts coming up through the storm drains, and then we get more runoff from that, and the manholes, the covers will pop up. We get more runoff from that, and you know so I was concerned if we're going to get more water, say from the creamery, once you guys well, not you anymore, but once they build more, will that open up the system more so for more water to flow?
Well, I think what we're trying to do is to do the total look at where the water is going and try to see how we can do it more efficiently so people don't have the water problems they have now. And so that's what we've hired Crawford Engineering to do, that stormwater study. So I'm sure that's what he was out there doing today.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you.
Okay. Okay, now, moving on, accept and approve the consent agenda, which is the minutes of the May 29, 2018 regular meeting, Fire Department financials for the month of May, Independence Celebration Committee, Inc., Class B beer includes wine cooler and outdoor sale liquor license, July 2nd, 2018 through July 6, 2018. Roller only Midwest Explosion festivities to be held July 29th, 2018, and to waive compliance with city codes as follows. Chapter 40, Public Peace Section 40.032, noise. Chapter 40, Public Peace Section 40.37, obstruct use of street. Chapter 40, Public Peace Section 40.07, excessive noise. Have a motion?
I'd make a motion.
Okay, Kurtz.
Second.
Scharf, second. Okay, any questions? Okay, we can just do a voice on this. Okay. All those in favor signify saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, next on the agenda, approve the claims.
I've got one question about that. One that says Buchanan County Auditor Services, PD, $48,109.
That would be the second half of our annual payment for our dispatch services. We make 2 payments a year. It's a formula that we put into our budget based on number of calls, population, et cetera.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other questions?
I'd make a motion to approve it.
Okay,
Second. I got it.
Kurtz, Scharf. Okay, do we need a vote, roll call on this?
Nope.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carried. All right, rezoning ordinance, the second reading. This deals with a request from Wapsie Valley Creamery to have property rezoned from R2 to M2, which is heavy industry manufacturing. This is for the second reading. Have a motion to approve this?
I do have a question about that, and it is about the sewer water and stuff. What is that gonna do to our system? I mean, even this weekend we had, didn't you guys have water at the creamery there? Yeah, and so
Mark,
if you add,
Mark or Ryan, would you want to come up?
if you added 2 more buildings up there,
Yeah, we always get flooded.
but what's these 2 more buildings gonna do to our sewer system?
We don't have any designs for the building. We're just asking to be able to build on that, turn it from a parking lot into potential building site, so.
But once they get approved of this, can they do whatever they want with it?
Have to-
Within the zoning
I
standards.
mean, we have to be concerned that as a city, what's it gonna do up
But,
there?
but the issue that you have, and we've talked about this with other properties, it doesn't matter what they build on the property, they're responsible for the runoff from those building. They can't,
Yeah,
when you say grace the rest of the community
Right.
with that. So as part of the design, they'd still be required by state code, required to address the stormwater issues that may create.
was it worse this weekend or about the same as other?
normal. No, impassable for 2 hours after the storm and makes a whole big mess with all the gravel.
I seen.
and Leaves and mud and,
Yeah, I drove over there Sunday morning and it was, yeah, pretty bad. Thanks.
Well, and hopefully this northeast stormwater improvement that we're working on might help alleviate a lot of that, because that was one of the primary areas that was really a flooding issue.
What's the worst area?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Water's coming down off the hill, coming north, and
I think one of the parts of that stormwater was to put something in on 8th to catch the water before it got to 10th Street. Because right now, if you go out there when it's raining real hard, it just runs right past the storm intake on 8th Street, so that really doesn't do. On 3rd Avenue and 8th Street, that intersection, if you look at those stormwater intakes, they don't catch anything on 3rd Avenue. So that's a separate topic, I guess.
Yeah.
The other, I know you had some concerns about the parking last week, off-street parkings. I don't know if I sent you an email on that, on the,
John just showed me how to run the email 3 minutes ago.
should have printed it out for you.
Excuse me?
I said I should have printed it out and brought it out.
Oh.
Denny
Well,
does,
essentially, you could tell me in a nutshell, couldn't you?
Denny does by carrier pigeon yet.
Yeah, I'm good with smoke signals too, so if you get a fire going, I'll read it.
I'm pretty rusty on my smoke signals.
Okay,
I'd make a motion.
okay,
I'd second the motion.
John, Mike. Okay, we should have a roll call on this one.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Hayward,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Scharf,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes,
Vaughn,
Yes.
Okay. Without waiving the third reading of-
That would be up to the council. I don't think we have that built into the.
Okay. All right,
No, you have to go through the third reading.
okay, moving on then for fireworks ordinance, setting date of hearing. Motion to set the date for public hearing for June 25th, 2018. In-
I'm sorry, let me interrupt you. On the rezoning, you do have the option, if you wanted to waive the third reading and pass it on final reading.
I make a motion not to
Uh,
pass it.
You wouldn't make a I understand, the motion would have to be affirmative to waive it if you wanted to. If there's no motion, then it moves
Yeah,
on.
if nobody makes a motion, we just don't do anything.
All right.
Okay, not seeing a motion, let's move on. Fireworks ordinance, setting date of hearing. Motion to set the date of public hearing for June 25th, 2018 in council chambers at 6:30 PM to amend city code of ordinances pertaining to fireworks. Al, do you want to explain this?
Yeah, the city attorney's office has recommended some modification to our current city ordinance. It has no effect on this season's fireworks sales, but it is dealing with fireworks sales in the city of Independence. All you're doing tonight is setting the hearing to make that modification.
I'd make a motion.
Okay, John,
Second.
Carl, second. Okay, roll call.
we can just do all in
Oh,
favor.
just voice. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, carries. All right, C, motion to set date of public hearing for June 25th, 2018 in council chambers at 6:30 PM to amend city code of ordinances pertaining to the airport board.
Specifically, this has to do with modifying the language of the current city code, section 25.04, that deals with airport manager. The current language says it will be a contract, period. Based on the conversation at the committee of the whole meeting, there was some willingness to consider an employment relationship, which would require this to be changed before you could consider having an employee airport manager versus a contract.
So which way is it?
Currently, it's a contract only. This would modify the language to allow for an employment relationship.
Okay.
But you have to change the ordinance before
I
you
didn't
can.
understand what you said.
Okay,
I'd make,
motion.
I'll second it.
who made the motion? Mike? And John, second. Okay, all those in favor, signify saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. All right, under resolutions, motion to approve salary resolution for fiscal year 2018, 2019. This would be for salaried employees and non-union employees. We talked about this at the workshop, and there is an attachment there showing what the wages would be, and the non-union would be 3% increase.
But would the law enforcement people be 2.5%?
Law enforcement by contract are 2.5.
Okay, but the non-contract would be?
Non-contract, anybody who's not under a collective bargaining agreement would fall under this. Whether it be, I mean, here we have department heads, salaried employees, and hourly employees not in collective bargaining.
Motion to approve.
Okay, Mike,
I'll second it.
John, second. Okay, roll call on this one.
Yes.
Okay, roll call.
Hayward,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Scharf,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes,
Vaughn,
Yes.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Sale of forfeiture items. You're going to explain that, Cal?
Yeah, we have a vehicle that was seized as a drug forfeiture vehicle. The police department has the right, in this case, to dispose of it or use it in other drug enforcement-related activities. They are opting to dispose of the vehicle. They do need council approval to dispose of city property. The proceeds from the disposal have to be used in drug enforcement activities. So it stays in the police department, but they need your permission to sell it.
Okay, entertain motion.
So moved.
Okay, Mike,
Second?
Carl, second. Roll call.
Hill,
Yes.
Scharf,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Hayward.
Yes.
Okay, under new business, motion to approve the closing of City Hall on July 2nd, 2018 for processing of year-end materials. We talked about this at the workshop. It gives the people in the office an opportunity to close out the year financially without interruption. So I entertain a motion on this.
Motion.
Second?
Mike, Carl, second. Roll call?
Scharf,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Hayward,
Yes.
Hill.
Yes. Okay, next item deals with well house number 3. This would be a motion to approve a change order for the installation of interior walls at the pump house, well house number 3. At the Public Works meeting, Mark Luloff indicated that the walls, the brick walls are kind of deteriorating and they're not holding paint. And the recommendation is to put a FRP material on there, which is kind of, if you're familiar with milk houses, it's kind of that smooth white surface that'll be chemical and water resistant. Does require a work order change. I think Mark did indicate at the meeting that he had talked with some area contractors, and the cost that's being quoted here in this work order request is pretty reasonable and comparable to what they would charge.
I'd make a motion.
Hold on a minute.
Well,
Okay.
I know I took a lot of slack from when I brought it up before, but I've had some calls, and anyway, some of the things I've gotten out there about change orders. Well, you know, I want people to understand, if we can't see it, it's different. But I want to tell several people who come to my house, they didn't bring bow and arrows or anything, but I got it explained to me what happened. I wasn't on the console. Bob, you did a good job explaining it to me. What happened was it was taken out of the original contract, and then we were supposed to bid it through local contractors, that's what I assumed. But it didn't get done. I don't know who dropped the ball, but let's not drop the ball again. When that happened, people, if we took it out of there, was a reason, money and what it might be. If it's an opportunity to let local contractors, come in and see what they can do any cheaper, just as good a job or whatever. But we need to keep a better eye on that. And let's, if that's what we're supposed to do, we need to do that. And after talking and listening to Mark last week, I understand the need, and I remember the milk house, I did that myself. But the thing we need to do is, one gentleman, he wanted the name of those local contractors, and I said, I don't know. But irregardless, we need to do, if we're supposed to do that, we need to do it. And that's all I want to say.
If I may, the real issue was, at the time that it was taken out for city staff to conduct the work ourselves if it was deemed to be necessary, not about, hey, we should go out and rebid this or bid this differently. So. I mean,
So is our staff.
It was a matter of using city personnel to paint the interior of the well
Okay,
house.
okay. I got a little confused on what,
No,
well, and I explained the way you did.
okay, thank you.
But No, and I heard you say that, and I was thinking about that, but the issue was, at the time, we had talked about painting, and the issue that Mark brought up is the brick is chalky, it won't hold paint.
Yeah.
That's where the FRP makes more sense.
Okay.
I don't remember it quite that way, Al, but I remember talking about hiring, or at least looking for local contractors to do that. But this deal with this, what do you call it, we're gonna put on the wall?
FRP,
That was, I can't remember that ever being brought up.
it was not brought up as putting FRP in, because at the time that we discussed it, I believe it was about what was it, $5,000 a well house for painting.
Right.
And council.
Which was adequate, considering they're not bigger, about like two dog houses welded together. You know, they're not very big, you know, you could get your house painted for that.
And the question was whether or not we painted ourselves, or do we?
Right, well, there
leave it
was some
contract?
question there.
And we
The
took it out of
thing
the
I
contract.
remember the city being questioned about doing was the electrical work. There was some technicality, took about a year to figure out why we couldn't do that.
Well, it took about 2 weeks to figure out it was illegal for us to.
That's how it took, yeah, that's what it was. It took you 2 weeks to figure out how not to do it.
Well,
All right,
no.
you keep talking about the direction of the
No.
council. The direction of the council was to sit down, analyze this, and find some local contractors, which I don't think was ever done. I don't think that ever went to that base. I don't think so.
The electrical work being done internally was looked at. Legal counsel said, no, the municipal utility has to bid that like any other contractor, because they are not legally under our control. They are not a part of the city proper as we are. They are, by vote of the people, a separate legal entity.
Okay, but
And-
getting
and they
back,
had to
getting back to that fiberglass or whatever it is. That was told to some, committee meeting that this was the council's fault prior for taking that out. Well, it was never in there, so I don't know how it could have been blamed on us for taking out.
Council took the painting of the well house out of the
Right.
contract.
Right, painting.
This well house cannot be painted.
Well, I've talked to some people that were in the painting business, and they tell me it can be, if you go over it with a wire brush. I said, what about power wash? And they said that water will go in that brick and stay there forever. You gotta do it with an air compressor to blow away the dust, and a steel brush, which I know will require work. And that's probably the only reason we're gonna spend $15,000 now for this other deal, because it would be absolutely too much work to do the other way.
Well, I don't think we need to get into telling people they're not willing to work, and
Well, what
if,
other reason would
if
there
there
be,
is,
Bob?
I take the full responsibility for explaining that this was taken out. We did a lot of discussion back and forth, and I guess I assumed that this was in there and was taken out, so that's my fault for not having the correct information. But the point is at this point in time, the well house is stripped down, the holes are there, everything's easy enough to put the material up. It's not an easy material to put up. It has to be drilled and put up. I know there are milk houses that get to that point. The milk inspectors would tell them they had to cover the stone up because it wouldn't hold paint. And so I have no reason to believe that this isn't the same case here. Any other comments?
No, but, thank you. Now, I got a little deeper picture than I had before, Bob. And you did a good job, it just that now explanation much better.
It's a better one.
Yeah, thank you.
It's the correct one. Okay,
I have a motion from Kurt.
entertain a motion.
A second. I have a motion from Kurt.
Okay, you need a second?
Second.
Okay, Mike, second. Okay, roll call?
O'Loughlin,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes,
Vaughn,
No,
Kurtz.
Yes.
Hayward,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Scharf,
Yes.
Okay, next item is IMWCA volunteer coverage.
We did have an individual that volunteered or would like to volunteer to water some of the flowers on the weekends, the hanging baskets. However, they're using city equipment. There is some inherent liability that goes with that. We do have a rider through our insurance policy that for $10 a person, they'd be covered under our policy. The minimum cost is $120 for the year, so you'd have a dozen people covered at a minimum. But city attorney is recommending that we have this coverage in place prior to taking on that gift of service.
$120 would save us a lot of money.
Well, you know, when I was mayor, we had that. And I don't know why it got taken out or whatever, because one of the reasons we brought it in was because we had people wanting to help on the boards and that's where it first come in, but we can't go wrong with that price, people.
That's reasonable.
Yeah.
I would make a motion.
Second.
Okay, John, Carl?
How many volunteers do we have?
Right now, one.
Well, we can take up 11 more.
But we have room for more.
Okay, roll call?
Hannah,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Hayward,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Sharp,
Yes.
McLaughlin.
Yes.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is discussion on the police station. A little background on that. I hope everyone was out to the courthouse park and saw where the flags were put. Al had them staked out. The building appears to be bigger than what we anticipated it to be, and so we wanted, or at least our vision of how much space it would take up, and so we thought maybe we wanted to see if people wanted to have some discussion tonight, or if you wanted to table it and work on it at a committee of the whole. Just kind of put it there so people would have opportunity to think about it. Now, you might have gone out, we were talking about the southeast corner. Nothing is ever easy. We found out we've got a 12-inch water main that runs about 25 feet in from the east-west. It's about 25 feet in from the parking. And then we have a diagonal sewer line that runs from the well house northeast. So,
Are those marked?
yes.
They were marked earlier today. The blue flags along the south
I
edge.
didn't go see it today, so. I didn't see it.
Yeah, we talked about this morning at our management team meeting. Mark said, make sure you're aware of it, so he took time to go out and flag it for us where the 12-inch water main is. He also flagged a drain for the water tower, the green flags that really run parallel to the
Sidewalk.
diagonal sidewalk. So it shows you where we have those utilities that we're aware of on that southeast
That's
corner.
drain for the water tower that runs by the sidewalk, toward the side.
Yeah.
That could probably be changed, the water main bill.
So we talked a little bit about this at the Public Safety Committee meeting. We may need to have the architect tweak the layout of the building. Currently, we just kind of have a long building. I guess we just wanted to put it out there. The current stakes show that we'd end up taking out 5 of those fairly large old trees, which we hadn't anticipated that as being the case, but that's why we staked it out to make sure. Kind of up to you guys.
I'm all for not taking those trees out, and that would also eliminate having to move that shelter. The question I have is that the drain from the water tower going diagonally along that diagonal sidewalk, is that going to interfere, will that be interfered with if we do go to the southeast corner of the park?
I mean, yes, it probably could affect it, but that would be easier to figure out than maybe.
The water main is more of a problem then.
If I may, I've
done a little really amateur crude artwork, and I got copies for everybody, but it's an attempt at some kind of a compromise, I guess. And, we can just talk about those. It's rough.
Hey, it looks
I-
better than what I do.
Dustin and Steve and John, I think there should be enough for you guys to have a copy too, if you want one.
Really big ones.
The little circles are like a tree line. I was thinking arborvitae. And it's a kind of a compromise. You're gonna have the business side of the park, and then you're gonna have the park side of the park, and you kind of have them separated. There's, the playground's probably gonna have to be moved. You know, there's gonna have to be a new shelter built, and then there was some talk about an all-inclusive playground, and I kind of just included a tentative area for that. You know, that's gonna involve some fundraising and some grants and time to figure out how we're gonna do that, but I just thought I'd throw it in, as a add-on.
So with this, we would still take the trees out.
Yeah, but at least if you're taking 5 trees out, you're gonna probably be putting 20 in. So, I mean, it's ecologically, green-wise, you're probably somewhat of a wash.
Downside is you're losing all the shade.
Yeah. But, yeah.
And the aesthetics of the park.
Could it be done in the southeast corner? With the water?
Water main issue is the main deal.
I think
Put
that,
removable pavers over it so Dustin can move them for you if you need to service it.
I think the issue with the southeast corner, will it fit there? Absolutely. Will it fit there in its exact footprint? I don't know that, you know, without having them come out and stake it out like they did on the northwest corner. I'm not sure where that would fit, but there's enough square footage there. I just don't know what the building would lay out like. And what we did with the marking the water mains, if you wanted to take a look at that or consider that as a possibility, that was the number 2 site on the committee's selection. That's the only reason we took time to do this much for it. But you have the option of trying to look at how it's going to fit in there. You also have the option of possibly eliminating the diagonal parking directly west of the building. I don't know that that will save 5 trees. It might save 1 or 2, because you can get about 15 feet of space, you know, more space by moving the building to the west, by taking that parking out.
Aren't a couple of those trees big old maple trees that have a tendency when they get big and old to get hollow?
Yep.
I'm
We
just
haven't-
thinking, we may be doing ourselves a favor. You know, granted,
The
they're
ones I
big
saw
old
were all,
trees.
they were all maples, the ones I saw, soft maples.
I don't know what kind of shape they're in.
They
They're
look
old.
good.
Looking at them this afternoon, it does look like some of them are deteriorating on the inside if you look at some of the holes in them.
Has everybody went to the park and seen all this marking?
I haven't yet, I haven't seen.
I seen the building, but I didn't see this other stuff, so I'd like to make a motion to table it until we all get a chance to go look at it.
All right.
I would
let's just,
second that.
Okay,
Yeah.
a motion.
Is there, and I appreciate that, I just want to make sure we have the right direction. Is there any interest in staking out the southeast corner so you have a comparative
Yes.
I think we can do that without a whole lot of trouble, and I think that would be wise on your part, just to understand what your options are. So,
How far in from Second Street is the water line? Since I haven't been out there to look at it.
20, 25 feet.
Into the park?
Yeah,
Yeah.
from the curb.
Bob, when you marked that, was that from the side, from where the actual parking was, or the road?
That was from where the parking edge is.
25 feet plus the parking that's already there, so. You're looking into 40 feet from the side of the road.
I think it's a long ways. That's why I think it'd be prudent to take a look at what that building would sit like in there, or if it can.
Another potential option, and I don't know, again, if you got problems, it costs, but if we put the garage on the south end of the station, parking lot's a lot easier to cut through to get to the water main than trying to come down through the chief's office.
Justin, you don't have a problem with that, do you?
No, I can, give me the jackhammer, I don't think.
So, and I think Al has talked with the architect and maybe asked him to take a look at that too for configuration.
Well, I haven't yet at this point, but we will, based on, any direction from the council, but he's aware of the fact that we've marked it, the water mains.
Okay. So do we need to vote on tabling?
Yes, you do.
Okay, all those in favor of tabling this issue, signify saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, carried. All right, we're down to council committees.
I think public safety is the only one that hasn't reported in yet this month.
Okay. Yeah, okay, council members? Okay,
I would just like to thank all the citizens that participated in the Saturday cleanup. We had a really good turnout. I know we worked over at the TV and electronics recycling and took in over 300 TVs, so that was incredible. Filled the trucks right to the gills. You couldn't put another TV in it, so it worked out really well, even in the downpour of rain. So thanks to the people that worked at the shredding and the out of Waste Management, and people from Teniers were awesome. And it was just a really good morning.
While you're talking, may I, when we brought this up, I want to make sure I'm right, because I've been asked, all those people that helped were all volunteers, they didn't receive any monies, did they?
Some of the staff, some of our staff did.
Some of our staff did.
Yeah, we had a couple of hourly employees that did come in to help out, but we also had department heads there, we had city council people there. So I don't want to say nobody got anything.
Okay, well, that was the question, just some of our staff, or whatever. 'Cause I got actually 2 calls on it. Because I remember you were asking, though I probably misled them then, because I thought they were all volunteers.
Well, specifically from a staff perspective, we had one employee who was off earlier in the week, so there was no overtime, but she did get paid because she was a city employee conducting city business. The rest of the staff would have been Chief Dollenbach, Tim Donnelly, Doug Cook, and myself. And Laura Blaker, thank you, who were there. Didn't make any difference on our pay, but those were the rest of the staff.
Okay, thank you.
And council got their regular per diem. Yeah, 0.
And a Band-Aid.
And a Band-Aid.
And of course, the people from Teniers, I'm sure, were paid
Well, yeah, I'm
as
sure.
employees, but
Well, they just particularly were asking about
in Waste Management.
our people.
So we would have only had one employee
Okay,
drawing any wages.
very good.
well, I kind of was hoping I'd get hazard pay because there were certain citizens that seemed to try to run over me as I was directing traffic, but
I was surprised that guy with the harpoon didn't get you.
I'm not, but I'm quick when it comes to danger. So, but, no, the shredding went really well, and I think Laura will have the numbers. I think we had like 75 or 80 people bring stuff out for shredding, and
Good community support.
it was a good day. Everybody was very thankful when they, at least at the shredding, they were, appreciate everybody's efforts on it. Okay, anyone else? Denny?
Yeah, I had one person ask me recently, how come the light plant doesn't come up and make their yearly report anymore?
I'll ask him.
Okay.
Yeah. Mike?
I guess I see they're starting to work on Second Street, so, just for the people in that area and around that area, there'll be a lot of construction vehicles and disruption, I guess, in their lives starting today.
Carl?
I'm just gonna mention it, but the next meeting I'll have more information for you. I'm on the homeless council, and a few weeks ago, Pathways came in and did some on opioids. It was really good. Well, in July 2nd, and the public's always welcome to come, they're gonna have a speaker there about human trafficking. And I'll have more different information for you the next meeting, but I just want people to start to think about that.
Is that the first Monday of the month, Carl? at
Yes, it'll
noon?
be July 2nd. It's at noon, it's the Episcopal St. James Church down by the post office. And I'll re-mention it again at the next meeting, just when people start thinking about it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mike?
Just pleased with the report we got from Crawford Engineering. Taking off with the trails and so forth. Just a quick review for the public. 2018, this year, will we be working on the 150 South Trail as well as the 17th Avenue project?
17th Street,
17th Street.
Yes. Those two are both being bid under the state bid process. I believe they're both coming June, I think it's next week, June 19th, maybe.
Sure.
But yes, once we get the go from their bid process, the state accepts those bids, they actually issue the contracts, and then the work will start. But both of those are due this year, construction this year.
Great.
A lot of our work that we keep talking about is 2019 construction season.
How about the road by Casey's, any updates?
We'll get to that.
Huh?
We'll get to that.
Okay, Deb?
Yeah, and a couple of things. I've still had quite a few people mention about the flags, and the biggest thing was that they said that us 7 council people got the blame for that. And this is what I tell people, that it wasn't 7 of us, it was 9 of us. Because before us 7 can vote on it, the city manager and the mayor put the agenda together. If it never made the agenda, we wouldn't vote on it. And with the articles in the paper, makes it look like us were just the 7 bad guys, and the public has asked me to announce it and say that there was 9 of us, and I truly think that's true. So hopefully the flag issue is died down. And then I would just like to thank all the community for all the support that was there for the Hosky benefit. It was a great turnout, and we raised a little over $16,000 on Saturday.
Really good.
So thanks for everybody. I'm done.
I got one more question. Did that property on 150 there that we own, did that get cleaned out Saturday?
No,
Some of it did, some of it did not. We got the appliance out of there,
Okay.
but there's still more cleanup to be.
but there's more on her part, too.
She has more to clean up, there's more in the garage.
More valuable stuff there.
Oh, priceless.
One more thing while we're still on council topics. We had an email yesterday, I guess, or last night, about the sidewalk problem, where we're doing the survey. And there were some questions about that. And Al, if you could just kind of summarize one more time what the procedure is and why we're doing it that way, because I think there's a lot of community confusion still on this thing, because something about it has to be paid for by July 28th or something, and that was incorrect.
Okay, the issue we have in Ward 3 this year, the area that's being surveyed, we have a company that's doing the ADA compliance survey. We sent out a letter earlier this spring notifying everybody that if they wanted to avoid having any marks on their sidewalk, they had until May 28th to correct any issues that they might have with the sidewalk. On the 29th, or the week of the 29th, they came in, conducted the survey, marked the areas that had to be addressed. We're sending out letters. I know that Susie started on Friday. They should be out by the end of, well, the middle of this week, actually, notifying the people of how many marks or how many areas that they have to correct in their sidewalk. They'll have until approximately July 15th to fix those if they would like to do it themselves, or opt out if they've got somebody else who they would like to have fix it. All they have to do is let us know before July 15th. Anybody that is not notified us that they're opting out or fixing it themselves by the 15th, we will go in with Precision Concrete, have all those issues corrected or fixed. The letter that they received said that they will be billed not more than $80 per mark or per fix. Last year, that number was somewhere around $62, $63 per fix on their sidewalks if it had to be corrected. Again, emphasis on anybody can pick anybody they want to do it. You know, last year, several people fixed their own. That's not our issue. We just want the sidewalks corrected. But again, the letters that they received said that they had until, and I apologize, I don't have the letter in front of me, but I think it's July 15th, to correct them or notify us that they are opting out of the program and they're going to take care of it themselves. Some folks have sidewalks that have to be replaced. If the sidewalk is in real bad condition and it has to be replaced, they'll be notified of that as well. They will have until next spring to replace it, if I'm not mistaken. Now, we haven't sent those letters out at this point, but with something that large, we're giving them more time to address that. Anybody who does not fix their sidewalk, we've done this in Ward 1 and Ward 2. At the end of this year, we should have enough sidewalk to be replaced that would justify us contracting it out. You know, up to this point, there hasn't been enough linear footage of sidewalk that make it worthwhile for the city to get involved in doing sidewalk replacement, but we would look at contracting that out at the end of this year if we've got enough sidewalk to make it worthwhile. And that's just to make it economical if we're involved. That also would be considered under special assessment, or potential for special assessment if the council so chose.
Hey, I did have three questions that have been brought up. One is, how do we handle if it's at a joint between two neighbors?
Well, the marks that went in there and the letters that went out, they tried to assess it to the appropriate property owner. If we got it wrong, there are some field adjustments that may have to be made. If you feel like that's a question, give us a call. We'll come out and take a look at it and verify how that has to be handled.
Okay, the other question I got was, we put in some handicapped, the little raises when we did some paving. And is that the homeowners or our cost to fix those, that they're not ADA compliant?
We have carried that cost of the city's behalf.
Okay,
Now, on those ramps, we have also, the ramp themselves where it meets the street, the city is paying for those repairs. If there's a lip in there because of overlays, which several of them have it, we're paying for those fixes. We're also taking the responsibility for the first panel on every corner that ties into that ADA ramp. So that's all coming back on the city. That is not going to the homeowner.
okay, the other question is, if they don't pay it and they allow it to be put on their tax rolls, how will they get multiple years, or will it all just show up on the next year's tax?
The council will have to make a decision as to how long they want the special assessment to be on the books and what the interest rate is on that assessment. Last year, I believe you went 10 years at 4% interest on the sidewalk project, which would be not unreasonable.
So we haven't made a decision. Somebody said they had been told that it was all got to be paid on their next tax bill. We haven't even made that decision yet.
No, it's a special assessment. Council sets the terms of the special assessment. There's some caps as to how long you can stretch it out and how high you can go with the interest rate, but that really all comes back to the council.
Okay. Those, I think, were, John, do you remember, or Mike, any other questions that came up?
No, that pretty well covered it.
Okay.
That was pretty much it.
Don't be afraid to call Al. He only bit me 3 or 4 times, so he's easy to talk to. Okay.
I do have one more thing, just a quick question.
Okay.
I see the lines by the swimming pool have been painted, but I didn't see any signs.
Signs are ordered, they're not in yet.
Okay, that's what I assumed, but
It is back-in parking for anybody that questions the lines at the pool on the one-way street. We have had an unusually high number of complaints of people traveling the wrong way down the one-way. The police department will be enhancing their enforcement of the one-way street this week.
I don't think
And
they're
the
starting to walk back in yet. I haven't seen any of that yet. They're still pulling in.
That will be an education.
Okay. All right, staff, looks like Dustin.
Good evening. Like you guys said earlier, thanks to everybody that participated in this weekend on the cleanup for Independence. I know I had a good time pulling TVs and stacking them inside the trailer. That was actually quite interesting. Never done that before. Had some good rain through there. A friend of mine, Josh Eckhoff, and his boy Dustin were out there helping us as well. He decided to stop by, so I want to thank him for doing so. Another thing, just out to the public to remember that fireworks are not legal to be used in the city limits unless you get a permit by the city and cover and have the qualified insurance for that. So make sure everybody's aware of that. I know we've had quite a few calls on it, and we're trying to educate people to start with, but if it continues, then we'll start citing people for doing so. School's out. A lot of people are, more kids are out walking, more people out riding bikes and stuff, so just be aware. Pay attention to the little ones that are out running around. I don't want to see any accidents this year, hopefully not at all. Then you brought up the property on First Street. I did talk to them. It is a rental. There were 3 vehicles there. There's only 1. She's cleaned up some of it. The stuff that's inside the garage, she said, was left over from when the people that used to own the house. So we'd have to get a hold of them if that's the case and deal with that. But I gave them a week to get their stuff moved out from in front of it because of the cleanup day this weekend. And I believe that was either Tuesday or Wednesday last week. So I'll stop and talk to them again probably Wednesday and make sure everything gets taken care of. That is theirs. And that's all moved over. As for inside the building, we have to figure out who that belongs to. If it's the person that owned, well, we own it now, but who it was before. If we own it now, then it came with us when we ended up taking over the property. So I wasn't a part of that, so I don't know what was in there.
You can
so.
take it home with you, Darrell. You can take it home with you if you want.
Nope, I'm good, so
I'll volunteer to help haul stuff out of there if you need help.
Thank you.
I'd be happy to as well. But yeah, so I did give her a week because of the cleanup date, hopefully get most of that stuff done, and I see the vehicles are gone, and some of it is cleaned up, but,
Yeah, the tires are all gone.
but I'll make sure I address it with her again here.
But really, her stuff's gotta be out of there so we can get to our stuff.
Yep, so. Like I said, I'll talk to her this weekend, so. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Let's see. Oh, Mark?
Since we had our Public Works Committee meeting last week, we did get one of the wells started up, and it's running. It's well 7 in the northwest, and it's doing quite nicely. The safety factor that was built into it is very nice. The fluoride is now vented outside, so it's a lot more safer to walk in. You don't have that smell right away. It'll be a lot easier on the inside of the building. And electronics also, And the chlorine is up and running, so everything's running real good there. And we've moved on to well 6, which is in the southwest, so that's shut down now. So if there's anybody with any comments about the water pressure or anything, that is shut down. They think about 2 weeks, because now they know how the system is set up. This new fluoride system it's basically done in Minnesota, but it was instituted here in Iowa lately, so it's one of the newer systems in Iowa.
So for the doors to be open over there is an okay thing right now?
Yeah, they're gutting it, they're stripping it out, so.
See, they were open.
Yeah, electrical was pulling new cable in today, because the service wasn't large enough to handle that. 'Cause I know we did have a few fires over there, so the new wire will be upgraded, so everything will be.
The well house that's up and running now, that's
Well-
online with everybody and?
Yeah, it's online, and the alarms are working. It doesn't come back to us yet at the plant, but there is an outside alarm, so if there were something happen, there'll be a red light that will go off. So, everybody's doing a very good job right now. We don't have to handle the fluoride anymore. Pumped from the truck, the truck that brings it into the building, so you don't have to mix it or pour it or anything, so it's a lot safer. So there's a lot less risk of accident there, because that is an acid, so it's good.
When will they hook you guys up so the plant out there can read what's going on with the,
It's gonna be probably right at the end. 'Cause
so
they
they'll
get-
hook all of them
yeah,
up first?
Hook them all, because they all have to communicate back and forth with each other. The SCADA talks back and forth with each well, and then it'll, moves it out to the light plant, and then the light plant will bring it to us by internet right now. But it's a firewalled internet, so there's nobody can get a hold of anything, and so. Think any more questions?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mark.
Dick, I didn't know if you wanted any comments on the fire department? Okay, hiding back there. Okay, Gina?
I just wanted to let everyone know that Amy and I will be out of the office on Thursday. We're going to a free training sponsored by ICAP for some HR instructions and trainings to get us a little more equipped to do that kind of thing. So it'll only cost us the mileage to get there. We're going to Johnston. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, Al?
You asked about Enterprise Drive. At this point, it looks like that is off again. I got notice that there was no property sale from the adjoining property owner, so that makes our purchase agreement null and void at this time. Rydell is working on another option, so they've asked us not to throw in the towel just yet, but at this point, that project is not on. And I don't know for sure what happened. There was a disagreement between the parties, and it ended very abruptly late last week. So we did receive a letter from the Iowa Department of Economic Development. Our CDBG grant in Southwest, part of the city, was denied a second time. There was more applications than there was money, and they did not fund it. Part of the reason, unofficially, seems to be it's too small of a project compared to other requests that were out there. We could submit it for the next 2 quarters. They do a quarterly review. I think we have to sit down and take a look at that. I'm not sure that if it's been turned down twice now, that it's worth continuing to chase, but we will look at that and bring
Is
it
that the
back.
stormwater?
That's the water system,
Water
water
system.
valves.
Oh, the
and-
valves and.
But we'll take a look at it. I just received that letter today, so that is not going to move forward. I mean, it was denied this time. We would have to move it forward to the next quarter, and I think we've got a couple of weeks here before that application is due for resubmission. The work on the Malone Creek Bridge, last week they had Braun Intertech in doing some study on the bridge. You noticed, if you drove that way, they took up 1 lane of traffic on a couple different afternoons. That's moving forward in a very positive way. We think that we have, or we'll see a design that is going to be a single span. They don't have absolute confirmation yet, but it looks like a single span bridge without the pilings in the center of the creek, which would be less expensive and probably a better product for us. And does include trail on both sides, or that's what they're striving for. Tim is supposed to be starting the street painting soon. He's got some work to do in advance of the 4th of July. This is about the time of year, every year, that they get rolling as soon as the rain stops enough so that they can get out and get it done. In addition to that, we are going to repaint the parking lot at the airport, and we're going to repaint the tarmac. It's been a few years since the tarmac lines were painted. Some are okay, some are not in very good shape, so we're gonna try and get that done yet this spring, before the spray season starts if we can. And I have a comment, I've had a couple of folks come in talking about flooded streets and stormwater system that backed up this weekend. The one thing that I'll remind us and the public is, when we get 4 inches of rain, 3.5 inches of rain in 90 minutes to 2 hours, we don't have very many systems that are built for that size of a rain event. So, you know, we do have some flooding that's taken place, you know, the folks that I've talked with. Not saying our system is perfect, it isn't, but again, we had an awful lot of water in a hurry.
What can be done different, like with Ray Kirby's?
I'm not sure, because quite honestly, you know, with Malone Creek on one side of them, and A Street on the other, I'm not sure what's going on there or what we would change. But I'll have to go and look at it.
I mean, I seen the pictures. He had a foot of water, sewer water in that basement.
Sewer water or stormwater?
Stormwater. Sorry.
Well, Malone Creek was clearly out of its bank, you know, and I don't know if that's where it comes, he referenced it came off of 8th Street. Again, if the storm sewer, I have to go back and look at where the storm sewer is in that area. I don't have that off the top of my
It's
head.
gonna be frustrating. You got a finished basement and a foot of water in it.
I agree. You know, the one challenge that we have is the system, in a perfect situation, the system will only have a certain amount of capacity. It isn't designed for those, you know, phenomenal rain events that we can get. I can't tell you that's what the issue is. I don't know.
Some of us in that northeast part had 6 and 7 inches of rain. So, I mean, he could very easily have been in that window, which, that's a ton of rain in a short period of time. I don't know, I don't know if there's a system that can handle that much. I mean, that's just.
He lives within 8 blocks of me, and I had 6 inches overnight, so
Okay.
But in your basement?
I don't have a basement.
He had it in his basement.
That's.
I have a pool down there now. No.
No, I just want to remind people that we had a significant amount of rainfall in a relatively short period of time. And I'm not saying that that's a really good explanation, other than we're not going to build a stormwater system that will handle every possible rain event. Even if you're designing from scratch, that's not, you know, feasible. So,
But the majority of the homes in town don't get that kind of water in their basement.
he got a lot less than the folks I talked to earlier today in his basement.
In the northeast part of town too?
Yeah.
I
Not-
talked to
not
another neighbor
that
up there,
far
and they didn't
east.
have nothing, so.
Right. Again, I think it's gonna be a little bit more hit and miss, but anyway, that's all I have.
Okay. Didn't want to leave you out.
Nothing.
Nothing. That's good.
That's a
We
wonderful.
didn't break any rules for once. Okay, with that, again, I'd just like to say thank you to everybody for the cleanup. And one thing I think we can be very proud of our community, we've had several issues and people have been very civil. They are willing to talk about things, and I don't believe that's the case in all parts of the country. So I think citizens and independents can pat themselves on the back for being willing to talk about something before they start screaming. So, okay, with that, we'll entertain a motion.
Let's go.
So moved.
Okay, well, he beat you, Carl. I
I know.
went by his
Second.
hand.
Ain't gonna be not proud of me.
What?
Okay. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you.